What's up, YouTube? And today we're going to go ahead and pull the rest of the suspension off the Buick GS's frame. That way we can get it completely stripped and brought down and sandblasted. Now the decision has been decided. We're going to go ahead and have it painted. Now, for now, I would like to do like a, what is it called? A weld through primer, so we can do all the welds we're going to need to get this frame stiffened up and ready to take some serious power, which of course is the segue to the most recent development. When you kind of feel like you're fighting uphill, almost didn't sit down, almost fell. When you're fighting uphill and you kind of get a second wind by deciding something that you've been trying to, you've known it's what's going to happen, and you've tried to put it off, and finally you're like, we're just going to bite the bullet. The bullet is this. At some point, this car is going to get a 455. Right now I don't have the budget for that. I can get a 455, but if I'm going to put one in, I'm going to build it up. And everything involved with the Buick engines, it's very expensive. However, I do have, on my property, a 6.0 liter in that truck. And those things, especially right now it's got the 706 casting heads, so we're going to switch that over to the 799 heads, which will allow us a lot more power. We can put turbos on that thing, we can supercharge it. We're going to put turbos on it. I mean, seriously. We're gonna pull all the stops on it. You know, it's kind of like it was a message from the Lord above that we have been given this gift, that is the truck outside. So it just kind of gives me a little bit of a second wind to really focus on this. Now, going back to the suspension, there's quite a bit that needs to come out so that we could just drop it and then roll it outside. I'm not overly worried about this particular differential because it's not a posi traction, it's not a 10 bolt, it's not a 12 bolt. It's pretty much just, I'm gonna try selling it and see if someone may want it, but as it stands right now, we don't need it, so we're gonna just push it out the door and down into the shed, so it stays at least sort of safe. The other thing is we're gonna try to not damage any of the fasteners, and we're gonna get everything off of this that we will at least potentially need or have replacements made or bought. The other thing is, once everything's all stripped, I want to make sure we go through and double check that, you know, there's no actual damage. Like there's that little dent right there. We want to sort that all out before we get it sandblasted. And when it's sandblasted, we're going to check all the welds and, pardon me, start putting all the added structure to it. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm very excited about doing a turbo LS swap into it. So that gives me a little extra, I don't know, pep of energy. It's hard to explain. And I still really love that hood. Thank you for letting me know that this should be put on its side. Most of my hoods are just not nearly as heavy as that. So anyways, let's get this pulled off. The first thing you're going to need is a set of spring compression tools. These will allow you to compress these springs right here, because the reason why I didn't use it on the front is I really wanted to keep the front intact as much as possible. This right here is all going to have to be dismantled because we're not going to use the bottom half of this, and we're not going to shouldn't need most of this. The kit that reinforces the entire, actually several kits that reinforce the frame on this, and the different kits that I'm going to use to increase the, not stability, but the, don't you hate it when a word doesn't want to stay? It's right on the tip of your tongue. It's going to increase the overall maneuverability of the car. That's the best word I can come up with off the top of my head right now. So by upgrading everything to a more modern suspension, we're going to have a nicer ride and have a potential to really have a lot of fun in autocross. Will it help drag racing? Yeah, a little bit, but autocross is going to definitely be kind of my target. Although we will take this to the track, the drag strip, to see what it does. But anyways, back to this. We're going to get that pulled off now. I'm going to stop talking. It's already been almost 4.5 minutes. So the first thing I'm going to do is focus on this side. There's really not much going on this side other than like the brake stuff. But ignoring the brake stuff, we just have to really get these 4 bolts out. And then there's 2 more on this side, but we'll switch over to that in just a moment. All right, now that we gotten the bolt on the opposing side, or the nut on the opposing side, broken free, we're going to take the extension, and we're going to go ahead and put that on the head of the bolt. And then on the opposing side, we're going to take our regular, which I don't actually know what size that was. Okay, so we're going to take our regular ratchet, and we're going to see if we can't knock this thing the rest of the way off. Now that we went ahead and we got this bolt and this bolt pretty much out, they need to be pushed the rest of the way. The only thing we'll have to do is knock the rest two out, so we'll quickly do that. Be right back. Once you have the nuts off, these bolts seem to actually just want to push right out. So you're going to want something that will actually push the rest of the way. Which I should have been prepared for, but you know, hey, such is life. You get a screwdriver, give her a couple good tappy taps. Oh, I need a mallet. Oh, and everything just fell. Okay, so give her a couple taps. And this should be free. It's not quite there yet. There we go. And we're just going to go ahead and do that a couple more times. Trying to make sure that these keep going in straight. Just like that. And then once they're pulled out, these should just pop. This is already a broken screwdriver, so just pop right out. Super easy. And other than that, I'll just knock the rest of these out real quick, and we'll flip over to the other side. Now, one thing is, because there's still spring tension on this, what ended up happening was the threads caught as it was getting out to the last part of the bolt, so right there, and now it's bound here. So the next step we do have to do is get these spring tensioners, or compressors rather, onto these and start taking them off. Now, really you're supposed to put one on each side, but I'm kind of hoping I could get away with just one on one side, so I guess we'll find out. And that's really when these pass-through bolt ratchets come into like their stride. So what we're going to do is have the this side facing up, just for my own ease of dealing with it. And we're going to take these bad boys off, and we're going to go ahead and get these bolted onto there and get these pulled off. Alright, now that we have this on there, and we have an 85% chance that we're going to have to go get the other one on the other side, I'm going to still at least try to only have to hook up one of these. These are, they work really well for what you're doing. I really hate dealing with them though. So there's always that. And I don't think I have anything big enough to put on the opposing side over here, so we'll get it started, and I'll probably have to go get that pipe wrench thing. I was hoping that I could get onto the bottom. If I was able to get to the bottom one of these, I would have been able to compress more, but then it would be off to the side and would not have been as fun to deal with. So let's see what happens. We might actually get away with this. I mean, you wouldn't want to do it this way if there was no body on it, or if there was a body on it, because it'd be lowering with it. But seeing how there's no weight, it's at really its maximum height anyways. There we go. We're actually doing fairly well here. So if you were doing this with the body on it, I would recommend jacking the car up and taking as much stress off the spring as possible. Well, at least I got enough to get this bolt off. So I think we should be able to just twist this off. Or the next option, because I really don't want to break and put that one on there, I think I should be able to just take these bolts off, and it should be able to get right off at that point. So at that point, we're going to have this thing jacked up as well. So I would say our spring is as far as it's going to get. Our bolt's out. Actually, pry bar should finish the job on this. So pull it out, use a pry bar. Like so. So in the last episode I was working on the frame, someone said that they've never seen someone struggle with suspension as much as I have. Here's the thing. I'm really just trying to get everything off fairly quickly and in as much as I can in one piece. And by doing so, it allows me keep things kind of together, and I don't have to worry about damaging fasteners. Like these springs, I am not the least bit worried about damaging springs, because you'd want to replace those anyways. So it's off, just like that. Now we just have to rinse and repeat on the other side. Look at that, guys. Now we have a lowrider. Perfect. We're ready to put the LS engine in it and send it down the street. Just kidding. No, obviously. Just kidding. This will come right out now. Just a little bit of finagling. These are really cool. If you're going to be doing suspension work, get yourself a pair of these. I originally got this when I had to do the suspension on the truck, the 81 Dodge, because it's kind of very similar to this suspension, and a lot of, at least the front of it is. But you also have the struts in the back of it for, you know, adjusting for load. And, you know, I didn't use them on the front because I wasn't, it's really hard to get to the front suspension on this car. But here's a really cool tip, not tip, but fact. The reason why when it's binding, it keeps going without hesitation is because this actually uses an Acme thread. So if you look real close on how well you can see it, the top of the threads are actually square. So it's similar to what you find in like a lathe or like a mill. So very, very useful for this type of high load situation, and still have the ability of threading on without binding. So I keep saying so, sorry. Get yourself a set of these if you're going to be doing suspension. Very, very useful. I'm going to go ahead and put them away so I don't lose the parts and pieces. And after that, it's just a matter of taking 2 more bolts out to hold these on. Take the whole arm off. Take the other 2 bolts so that I get the other arm off. Keep the bolts with the arms because this is going to go bye-bye. Cut this line because we're not going to reuse it. And other than that, oh yeah, of course, take the strut tower or struts off. And once the struts are out, we roll this outside. Put this on some type of stand if I can find the. I don't think I actually have 2 other car stands. I don't know. I'll find something. So these things, this frame is incredibly light when it doesn't have everything on it. I mean, I can lift it up with the resistance from the struts. So I think I need 1 other person, maybe 2 other people, and we'll load this on the trailer and get it down to Bill. I don't know if it's gonna be this week, but well, no, not this week because we still have to take all the other bits and pieces off. So let's finish taking this apart. Alright guys, so now that we have the lower suspension completely disconnected, I believe, I'm fairly confident, except for this one hose right here. And for anyone that's upset that I'm cutting these hoses, we're replacing them all, so not a big deal. Okay. Now that the hose has been removed, there should be nothing holding the drive shaft, the differential and the axle from the frame. So we should be able to just lift it right up. So, oh, there are the two e-brakes still attached, which one of them seized and the other's not. I'm actually surprised they're not both seized. So, I'm going to go ahead and, I don't want to cut those because we may have to reuse them, though I'm not 100% sure and I'd really rather not. Actually, they look like they come right off fairly easily. But other than that, that actually is how you take the whole lower end of this apart. Eventually, we're going to have to do the same thing out there in a much more under the car kind of fashion and put it underneath here. But as it stands right now, that's it for this episode, guys. The suspension is completely removed. We just have to remove the emergency brake and then roll this outside. Oh, and I still have to remove those two brackets, but I'm not too overly concerned right now. Guys, you have yourselves a wonderful night, and please stay warm and have a cold one, guys. Alright everyone, you have yourselves a wonderful afternoon, and if you have an opportunity, remember hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below what you think about the build so far, or just anything. I want to hear your feedback. Maybe we get to know each other a little more, and ultimately you can tell me, like that one person, that I'm an idiot. I'm okay with that. I've been called a lot worse things. And yeah, we just roll this thing outside and get a couple more body or jack stands underneath it so we can start stripping this thing down and fixing all the little minute issues before we bring it down for sandblasting. Until the next time, you have yourselves a wonderful time.